Well, welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple. Steve Willits, we have some wonderful sports to talk about, but first we need to acknowledge our sponsor, Red Onion Burgers.
Yeah, as always, Red Onion Burgers supporting the show. We appreciate everything they do. Located on 212th and 44th in Mountlake Terrace. You can get pretty much whatever you need there, right?
Yes, you can. And we've had samples the last few weeks, but today we wanted to mention the community booster activities that Sean and Lorraine do at Red Onion Burgers. You know, they do a Dining for Dollars
Tuesday
on
nights.
Tuesday nights,
right.
where they people who are doing fundraising for good causes will use the restaurant as a way to do that by serving food and getting tips and going to the cause. And I saw Sean at an event last week, and he told me that they are actually booked with those events through the summer. So it's amazing what they do for the community.
Yeah, it really is, and we appreciate them for everything they're doing, not only for high school sports teams, but also other clubs and foundations within the community. And Sean, Lorraine, thank you for all that you're doing. It's a great way to spend a Tuesday night if you want to help raise proceeds for some of these foundations, or you can go the other 6 days of the week and just enjoy good food.
That's right, that's right. Okay, well, on to baseball is our highlight for Monday, right?
Yeah, baseball, it's district playoff time. I wasn't expecting to say we're still in the middle of district playoffs because it was supposed to conclude this week, but it didn't. Mother Nature had other ideas. Unfortunately for Edmonds-Woodway, they lost their second game in the consolation round, so their season comes to an end. The Lynnwood Royals, however, they're continuing to play. They had a big game on Tuesday. It was a semifinal game against Marysville-Pilchuck. Now, the winner of this game not only moves on to the championship game of districts, but also qualifies for an automatic berth in the state tournament. Very good game. It was nip and tuck the entire way for the first 5 innings. Both teams only surrendering 1 hit through the first 5 innings. Marysville-Pilchuck with a 1-0 lead at that point. Lynnwood then comes storming back. They put up 3 runs in the 6th inning. Brady Gerges, who we had in here last week, I think we were his good luck charm. He sliced a 2-run double right down the left field line, and that gave them the 2-1 lead. They go on to a 3-1 victory. Kyler McMahan pitched the first 5 innings of the game. Brice Foster pitches the last 2 innings of the game. We've got a picture of Kyler there, by the way. We'll put that up on the screen. Kyler not only pitches, but he also plays shortstop. A very instrumental part of what they've done this season and for the last few years. And rather than talk more about what Kyler and Brice did on the mound in that game and what they're planning on doing, we've got an interview with them that we're going to play in just a moment. We should point out that on Saturday, they were scheduled to play the championship game against Glacier Peak. Got rained out, so the game's been pushed back to 4 p.m. on Monday. That game will take place at Everett Stadium. Again, it's for the district championship. Not only is the district championship on the line so that they can put a banner up in their gym, a banner that Lynnwood won last year, I might add, but this will also determine where the teams go as far as the state tournament that starts next Saturday. Win the game, and then you stay a little closer to home. You get to go up to Skagit to play your first round game, and that would be against Lakeside at 1 p.m. Saturday. If they lose the district championship game, they have to travel all the way to Kelso and play 1 or 2 games on Saturday, depending on how they do. That game, the first game would also start at 1 p.m. So either way, they're playing Saturday at 1 p.m. It's just a matter of where, and we'll know that after the game Monday. But without further ado, here's the interview we had with Brice and Kyler. As we just mentioned, the Lynnwood Royals baseball team clinches a spot in the state tournament coming up next week. Unfortunately for them, they haven't been able to play their district championship game yet. We've got 2 of the players from that Royals team with us right now, and we're going to talk a little bit about not only the semifinal game in which they clinched and made it to state, but also what's coming up this week. With us right now, Brice Foster and Kyler McMahan. Guys, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
And this is a little bit awkward in that, well, first, I guess we'll start off with the semifinal game. That was played earlier this week. You knew if you won that game, you advanced to the district championship game and also automatically clinched a playoff berth in the state.
Yep.
Close game. Kyler, you started off as the pitcher in that game.
Yeah.
I think when you got pulled in the 5th inning, you had a 1-hitter going, but you were down 1-0.
Yeah.
How stressful was that for pitching in a game like that?
Well, I mean, it was pretty tough. The run support wasn't there, but we came out. We battled. We got it done.
Now, does it change the way you pitch, knowing that maybe the bats behind you aren't picking up where you wanted them to? I mean, does that make you pitch a little bit differently, or what's that like?
Pitching-wise, no, because I know I have trust in my team to back me up at some point. When it comes, is a little bit different, but I know that I can have trust in them.
Sure. Now, Brice, you came in and pitched in the 6th inning, and you got you finished off the game for the last 2 innings there. A game in which you guys ended up getting 3 runs in the 6th inning and got the 3-1 victory. What was it like for you? You obviously know that, I wouldn't say the season's on the line because there is the consolation bracket if you don't get it done, but obviously knowing that if you can get those last 6 outs, you're going to the championship game.
Yeah, well, there's definitely some pressure because normally I'm in a starting role instead of a closing role with the high school. And there's definitely pressure because is that consolation bracket with the state on the line. So if we win that game, it's a lot easier. If we lose that game, it's a lot harder to get to state. So that was definitely a big win for us.
Now, it was an interesting weekend for you guys. You were supposed to play the championship game of the district on Saturday afternoon. It was going to be at Everett Stadium. Unfortunately, Mother Nature didn't quite cooperate, so that game got pushed back a couple days. The game is now going to take place Monday at 4 o'clock at the stadium. Brice, you were scheduled to pitch that game, and I think we've got a picture of Brice we're going to put up on the screen there as well. You were scheduled to start and pitch that game, and you're still going to start and pitch that game,
Yeah.
but now it's 48 hours later. What does that do to you in terms of psychologically? Obviously, you wake up Saturday morning thinking this is your big game, and then it gets pushed back 2 days.
Yeah, well, I always have like a routine I go through every day, and so I was doing that and got all ready to pitch, and then they rain delayed it and put it on until Monday, so I was a little bit disappointed because I was ready to pitch a lot, but there's not a huge difference because we did have prom the night before, so we were out pretty late, and so it's good to have those extra 2 days to come in and have that rest.
Good segue for us, by the way. You were both at prom that night.
Yeah.
And so obviously a little bit tired the next day, I'm sure. Now you get the extra sleep. You can hopefully go to bed and Sunday night and get some sleep. We were talking beforehand, too. You're playing Glacier Peak. You're both already going to the state tournament. You know if you win the game and you win the district championship, you head on up to Skagit College. If you lose, you have to go to Kelso. So whichever team loses has to make that extra trip. You guys were joking that Glacier Peak's prom is next Friday, right?
Yeah.
So if they have to go to Kelso, they missed their prom. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So they've got some incentive to win the game, and they're going to not only do they want the district title, but they want to go to prom too.
Yeah.
So what is that going to do for you guys? Do you kind of want to be the spoilers there in that one?
Yeah, it gives us something more to fight for, and like take that away from them, even though it's something not good for us or good for them, but it gives us some.
Well, and obviously more than anything, you want to be district champs. You guys won the championship last year. You were both playing in the field at that time. You weren't pitching in that game, Brice, but you've been in this game before. You know what it's like to have that celebration. Kyler, what would it mean for you to win 2 district championships back to back?
To win 2, that would be crazy. I know. I went through my camera roll on my phone and I found the picture of when we won last year, and just having that comparison from last year to a new team this year. I mean, we still have the core strength of guys, but just to go back and see it and go through everything of winning it again would be crazy.
What is it like to play at Everett Stadium, too? This is the home of the Aqua Sox. Obviously, a lot more seating than you guys are accustomed to at the high school games that you play in at your schools. It's got that big-time feel to it with the scoreboard and everything else. Does it get a little overwhelming when you step onto that field sometimes and you look around and realize you're not at a high school stadium anymore, or a field?
Yeah, well, sometimes it kind of gets in your mind because, you have all the advertisements and stuff up on the walls, and you don't have that on your regular home field. And so sometimes it gets into your head. But normally once you're into the game and you're getting ready to play, like, it all goes away and you just play the game.
That's all it takes at that point. Now, again, talked about you guys, your senior and junior years. Kyler, I know you're already committed to playing baseball next year. Tell us a little bit about where you're going and what came into that decision.
Yeah, I committed last year in, I think it was November, and I committed to Oregon State. I committed there because I had a couple options from other schools, but with Oregon State, with their coaches and the atmosphere there, I just thought that would be the right fit for me.
Now, you pitch and you play shortstop. Where have they talked to you about where you're going to play when you get to college?
Yeah, I committed there for a middle infielder, hopefully shortstop. That's what I want to go to, but mostly middle infield.
Okay, and Brice, what about you? Where are you looking right now?
At the moment, I'm not committed anywhere. I'm looking at Shoreline and Everett Community College at the moment.
So your battery mate, Brady Gerges, also going to Everett, I think. We had him on in the studio last week. Could potentially have the 2 Royals pitching and catching with one another at Everett then.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if that happened.
So we will see. But first and foremost, you've got a little more time to get things done as Royals, both in the district championship game and at state next week. Do we have a preference as to who we're playing at state, or is it just enough to get to state?
No, just one game at a time right now.
Yeah, whatever gets us to the championship, that's what we want to play.
And we will be following that. We should mention the state tournament is a round of 16. It is single elimination, so wherever you go next week, you'll be going there with 3 other teams. You'll have a 1 o'clock start time. If you lose that game, you're out for the year. If you win, you'll be playing at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So obviously that's where pitching comes into account too. You can't just go with one pitcher. And I would have a feeling if we get to 2 games next week, you're both going to be pitching, correct?
Absolutely.
I would assume so, yeah.
So there we go. But first and foremost, they got to take care of business against Glacier Peak Monday, 4 o'clock at Everett Stadium. We invite everybody to get out there. And if you can't, catch these guys next Saturday. If they win the district championship, they'll be playing at Skagit College at 1 p.m. Their opponent would be Lakeside. If they lose the district championship, they will be heading down to Kelso, where they will play Central Kitsap in the first round. That's also a 1 p.m. start. Brice, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Kyler,
Thank you very much.
good luck to you guys, and we look forward to hearing how the Royals do for the rest of the week.
Well, Brice and Kyler have a lot to look forward to this week with the district championship and then the state playoffs. I hope they do very well.
Yeah, it should be exciting. And again, the fact that you've already qualified for state doesn't make the meaning of that district championship any less. You want to get that banner, especially for them. They won it last year, and to be able to say that you were a two-time, or you defended your championship and won districts again, it's a big deal. So we'll find out how that goes on Monday.
Yeah, it really is. And then there was a lot of track and field action last week.
Quite a bit, yeah. It was the 2A, 3A South Division Championships for Wesco. So this involved 7 schools. It would be the 4 schools in the Edmonds School District, as well as Shorewood, Shorecrest, and Glacier Peak. All of the top athletes from those schools participating, trying to qualify for the district tournament, which takes place next week, which will involve the North Division also. So everybody giving it their best. Wednesday and Friday over at Edmonds Stadium. Wednesday was primarily a prelim day, as well as a few finals, and then Friday was the main event, if you will, all the finals. And a lot of our local athletes doing very well in that meet. Should mention, first of all, and would want to congratulate the Shorewood boys and the Glacier Peak girls. They took the team championships from that event. Edmonds-Woodway finishing second in both the boys and the girls, so a very nice outing for the Warriors. Looking at it from an individual standpoint, and some of these names are going to sound very familiar. Michaela Pivick with 3 individual championships. She won the 800 meter, the 1600 meter, and the pole vault for the girls. She was also on the winning 4x400 team, so she had 4 wins total. Rita Sakharov, who we've brought into the studio before, she actually broke the school record for Lynnwood in the 100 meter hurdle. She also won the 300 meter hurdle, which is an event she took 3rd in the state last year. And she was also part of the 4x200 relay team that won. Looking at other girls that had multiple wins, Jordan Edwards, not a big surprise, the defending state champ in the 400 meter. She won again, go figure. And she was also on the 4x200 and the 4x400 that won. Shanae Okoronkwo from Mountlake Terrace, a 6-time state champion. Yes, she's won 6 events at state over the last 3 years. She wins the pole vault and the triple jump. And then others that won individual championships, Yukino Parle from Edmonds-Woodway won the 3,200 meter, and Vernice Keys from Edmonds-Woodway also won the 3,200 meter. Looking at it from the boys' side of things, a few different guys that won multiple championships. Harris Cuddick from Lynnwood was the shot put and the discus champion. Grant Whitcutt, who we've met in here before, he won the pole vaults. Harry White won the 300 meter hurdle and won it in an exciting fashion too. He ended up passing Chris Diaz right at the finish. Diaz finished 2nd in the state last year. Harry took 5th, so perhaps there's a changing of the guard. We'll see. Harry also ran his PR at that event. And then we've got 2 other individuals, both from Edmonds-Woodway, who we decided to bring in here to talk a little more about what they did over the weekend. Sterling Mahan won the 400 meter and won it by 8/100ths of a second. And then Matthew Park, who is a junior, he won the 1600 meter on Wednesday and then turned around and won the 3200 meter on Friday. And so 3 championships between them over the weekend. We thought, why not bring them in and have them talk about it? Here are Sterling and Matthew. As we just mentioned, the Wesco 3A, 2A South Division Championships were this past weekend. And with us right now, 2 of the participants from the Edmonds-Woodway Warrior track and field team, 2 guys who pulled off victories this weekend. Sterling Mahan, you won the men's 400 meter.
Correct.
And then Matthew Park, the 1600 and the 3200. Congratulations to both of you first and foremost.
Thank you.
Now let's start with you. We'll start with the shorter distance, Sterling. You won the 400 the other day. Very interesting race, by the way. You were battling with, I think it's Nicholas Milano-Perot from Glacier Peak. I think you guys exchanged the lead a couple times down the front stretch. Take us through that race and how that went for you.
Oh yeah. So just the prelim race, I was coming out in
you had
the
the second
400.
fastest time in the prelim,
I had the second
right?
fastest time. I came out and I got first in the race, but I kind of hurt myself coming into it because I pushed off really hard after my 100 race. I was kind of feeling a little pain in my hamstring. So I tweaked it a little bit in that race. And then coming into this week on Friday, I was recovering. I went to physical therapy, and I've been trying to, recover really fast. And I came into that race hoping to win it. I was going to give it my all, and then I knew this guy he had a really close time to me. So coming into it, I was hurting a little bit, but I was just pushing. And then he kind of fell back at the beginning. I kind of pushed to keep the lead through the first 3 quarters of the race, and then towards the end, he out of that last curve, he caught back up, got in front of me, and then at that point, I was telling myself, I can't have second place. I need to get first. So I kicked and I got in front of him, and we both pushed. I think I helped him PR, and then after the race, he hugged me, and he was just like, "Thank you so much," and it was just like it was a good feeling getting first place and racing that guy, because he's a good 400 runner. He's a good 800 runner, and he's a really nice guy.
Well, that's the great thing about track too. It's not always about first and second place. Sometimes you're just looking for your own PR or to look at your own times and to see how you're doing. In that particular case, you both got what you needed out of it. And you both advanced to districts next week, which is nice as well. Now, Matthew, we're going to talk to you for a second. You had a 1,600 win and a 3,200 win. Essentially, that's the mile and the 2 mile.
Yeah.
You're close to it anyway. The fact that you guys in these particular postseason meets, you get to run these on separate days, I've got to think that helps. A lot of times those events take place on the same day. They're distance races, so it gives you a chance to kind of recuperate. Take us through that a little bit. First of all, your 1,600 race was which was a 4-lapper. You guys ran that on Wednesday, a race that you weren't leading going into the final lap, but you told me that was a little bit of a strategic move too, right?
Yeah, I was just kind of planning to sit for the first 3 laps. I didn't really want to take out the pace, I guess, just to not like wear myself out. And then just with 400 to go, I was just planning pass him and just try to hold him off, I guess.
And you got a nice victory out of that. And then on the 3,200, we were looking at some of the times going into the race. I kind of thought Edmonds-Woodway might have the winning runner, but we weren't necessarily thinking it was going to be you. I noticed Sam McClellan going into the week had the fastest time in Wesco this year, or at least for the South Division. And lo and behold, you ended up winning that race, and you won it by about 11 seconds too, I think. Take me through the strategy there. It looked as though for the first half of the race you weren't necessarily looking to pull away from everybody, but then second half was a different story.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing as the 1,600. I was just planning on sitting the first mile, though, this time first 4 laps, I guess. And then lap 5, I was just planning to pass him and try to push that lap and just create some distance from the rest of the field. And
it works. So again, these two combining for 3 individual victories over the weekend. Want to put up a picture here really quick too. This was from last week. You guys for the 3rd straight year won the Edmonds School District title for the boys, beating out Mountlake Terrace, Lynnwood, and Meadowdale. Unfortunately, this week you didn't quite get first place. You got second place behind Shorewood at the district, or I guess the South Division meet. How important is placing as a team for you guys? I know obviously the ultimate goal for what we did over the weekend here was to get to districts, but was there a lot of disappointment within the team? I mean, obviously Shorewood and Edmonds-Woodway, both great teams this year.
I think for instance, it being like a sport like track, it's not so important to win. Place-wise, it's really for yourself. You're supposed to push to get in a better time than you last did, or a better distance than you last had. And for that, when your points stack up in the end, it doesn't really matter. It's exciting if you win it all, but if you get second place, I don't think it's that heartbreaking. I think it's important that we came out and we competed as hard as we did. I think we have a lot of talent on this team this year, and it's exciting to see how well we did.
Yeah. Talk about the talent a little bit too. I mean, it's not only you guys. It's Sam. We already mentioned him. I know Grant Whitcutt. We've had him in here in the studio earlier this year. Grady Oakson and some of the what Aaron Richardson. I mean, I'm probably missing 1 or 2 as well. You guys can fill me in there.
Chris.
Chris Tilbury as well. Don't want to forget Chris. What is it like to have that much talent in practice every day, and knowing that you guys can kind of push each other a little bit as well?
I mean, for the distance guys with like me, Sam, and Grady, I guess it's good. Like during our like workouts and stuff on the track, it's good to have somebody, or like 2 people in this case, to be able to train with and like just push each other to keep going. Because I mean, when you're by yourself, it's a lot easier to just like give up. Like I'm already like better, I guess, than the rest of the people. So like, why should I? I don't know. It's just fun to compete with people within your own team to get each other better.
Sure. Now you've got districts coming up this week, which would qualify you for state. Sterling, I know you injured yourself at districts last year and weren't able to get to state. Did go to state the year before on the 4x100 team. What does it mean for you to be healthy, relatively healthy, I guess I should say? I know you're still dealing with a little bit of a hamstring, but what does it mean for you to get healthy and to get back to state? And what is it going to take for you to get to state?
I'm just excited to go out and compete. Really, I know I'm going to try my hardest no matter what, and to take care of my body and to make sure that I'm, you're eating right and you're carbo loading and you're icing and keeping everything working. It's important to, go out and try your hardest. I think that it's going to be very nerve-wracking when I get out there, but I'm excited to run the events I'm running this year because I'm running the 400, and that's brand new for me for this season, and I really like the race because it's something I think I'm the best event runner at. I mean,
Which is kind of unusual. You're running the 400 for the first time this year, you just mentioned, and you go out and win the thing. I mean, you've run shorter distances in the past a little
Yeah.
bit too, right? So was it easy to make that transition to the 400?
well, I remember in 8th grade I used to just be 200 runner strictly, and then getting into high school I did every event for sprints, and then I hated the 400. 4x4 was the worst race I could think of running, just junior year, Philman would be tracking people down to put on the 4x4 relay, and I would hide. I'd just get underneath a bench and just make sure he didn't see me because I didn't want to be on that relay. I was just too scared to run it. But honestly, just last season, this season, I've grown a huge love for the 400. It's incredible because I used to hate the race and it was scary for me. But as Al, the distance coach, and Philman says, they think that I'm a really good 400 runner, and that's my race, and I think that I want to take that to the farthest and go to state.
So very interesting in that you're new to the 400. Matthew, you're relatively new to track. You didn't even run your freshman year. You started last year as a sophomore, and now you're doing the 1600 and the 3200. Was it easy for you to kind of transition into becoming a distance runner, so to speak?
I wouldn't say easy, I guess, because before last track season, I had never even thought about running distance before. That was no, I don't want to do that. But I mean, once I started running it, I just instantly loved it. It was just I wanted to go out and train every day to try to be just get better and better and improve my times. And it's just been this year, I've really grown a love for it.
No, I asked Sterling a moment ago, so I'll ask you now. What are your goals coming into districts? As far as getting to state, what's it going to take for you this week to achieve what you want to do? And what are you looking to do at districts in terms of? Are you looking for a PR, or do you kind of maybe save that for state, just trying to qualify? What are you hoping to do?
I mean, yeah, I'm not necessarily looking to try to really push the pace and get a PR, I guess. It's mostly about just making it to state and then, really giving it a state. But I guess for the 1600, kind of doing the same thing I did this week maybe, just pushing that last lap hard, try to get in. I know Nathan Beamer is
From
going to
Arlington,
be very good.
Yeah.
He's very good, so it's going to be hard to beat him. And then also for the 3200, there's a couple of Arlington guys who always come on strong. In cross country, they came on really strong. And then obviously Nathan Beamer. So I don't know. I'm going to have to run really good races for both of them to even qualify for state, though.
So we will see. And just a really short answer, too. Both of you, I know you've got another year left, Matthew. Sterling, you're a senior. Both hoping to run maybe in college as well?
I know that if scholarships don't come around or, that doesn't work out, I'm shooting to go to community college either at Everett or Shoreline. And I think that'll be exciting to do.
And now, Matthew, what about you? Is that your ambition later on down the road?
Yeah, definitely looking at some places right now that I could go, but I mean, nothing really official yet, but that'd be definitely fun.
Well, and who knows, maybe some of these coaches will start noticing these guys over the next 2 weeks. They will be at districts up in Marysville-Pilchuck at Quilceda Stadium Wednesday and Friday. That's when the events will take place. And then the following week, we hope, if everything goes as planned, they'll both be competing at state down at Mount Tahoma High School in Tacoma. Once again, Matthew Park, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Sterling Mahan,
you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
And best of luck to you guys in districts and in state.
All right,
Yeah, thank you.
Track athletes have such an amazing balance they have to keep between, wanting to get their personal best, but in pushing themselves and being kind of loners, but yet part of a team. It was really interesting to hear them discuss that.
Yeah, it is interesting because obviously you're accumulating points for your team depending on where you finish. So your teammates are relying on you to get those points. But at the same time, first and foremost, you're looking to do as well as you can for your own personal achievements. And you're also, in this case, trying to qualify for districts at an individual level. Top 6 in each one of those events go on to districts next week. And good segue there, district finals will be taking place at Quilceda Stadium up at Marysville-Pilchuck High School Wednesday and Friday evening this week. And also, if anybody wants to go back and watch the districts that just happened, the South Division districts, we did broadcast those, and they are available on SoundLiveSportsNetwork.com.
That's right. And we've got some other more individual sports to talk about, golf and tennis.
We do. Golf had their South Division finals this week as well. Very similar to track and field, so 7 schools were involved. And a couple of our athletes around here that we've gotten to know by bringing them in for interviews did very well. Morgan Rude from Meadowdale, who we interviewed last week, Morgan ends up winning by 7 strokes. So Morgan had a great day winning the South Division Golf Tournament, so she moves on to districts. And then on the boys' side of things, we had a tie between 2 of our golfers, Mikey Jensen from Mountlake Terrace, the senior who we've brought in for an interview before, as well as Mason Harvey, sophomore from Meadowdale. They both shot a 79 to tie for the South Division Championship. Young Lee, who also goes to Meadowdale, shot an 80, so he was 1 stroke back. So the 3 of them all moving forward this week to districts. District finals this week, the boys will be up at Snohomish Golf Course. Girls will be at Kayak Point, which is in Stanwood. So we wish the 4 of them, I should say, and all of the other golfers that qualified all the best as they move on.
Okay. And tennis, what's happening with that?
Tennis also had the South Division Championship, so a theme there, right? Everybody's trying to move on to districts. A handful of our tennis players moving on to the next round. On the doubles side of things, Olivia Olson and Haley Reinfeldt from Edmonds-Woodway finished 3rd, so they move on to the district playoffs, which take place up at Arlington on Tuesday and Wednesday. Also moving on from the Edmonds School District, Bear Lund from Meadowdale defeated Stephanie Robluski from Edmonds-Woodway. That was the 3rd, 4th place matchup. So they both moved to districts also. And then one other tennis player, Tina Liu from Mountlake Terrace. Tina's a senior. She's made it to state all 3 years that she's participated as a doubles player. This year she's looking to make it as a singles player. And she's got a pretty good shot too. She's only lost 4 matches all year, 3 to the same player. So she's having an outstanding season on her own. And we brought Tina in to talk about her season and how things are going. So here's the interview we had with Tina Liu. And speaking of the upcoming tennis district playoffs that are coming up this week, we're with Tina Liu right now. Tina plays for Mountlake Terrace. Tina, thank you for coming on the show with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Now, we're looking forward to seeing what you can do this week as you try to qualify for the state tournament as a singles player this year. You've made state the last 3 years, but as doubles players. You were with Nikki Boucher your freshman and junior year, and you took, 8th place and 4th place in the state?
Yeah.
And then you played with Allison Lorraine, and you took 6th place your sophomore year.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit more interesting for you. I guess the question right off the bat, do you have a preference between singles and doubles?
Well, I like playing both, but personally going into such a competitive, atmosphere and all, having a doubles partner is, it's a really nice to have someone to lean on,
Yeah,
throughout
enjoy the moment
Yeah.
with too, I would think, yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's go through your season a little bit here. You had an overall record of 14 wins and 4 losses. 3 of your losses coming against Sasha Gaith from Shorewood. Sasha is a freshman and she's undefeated, so you're not the only one.
Yeah.
When you're not playing Sasha, you only have 1 loss all season. You just took 2nd at the South District playoffs the other day, so a great year for you so far. What can we anticipate coming up into the district tournament this week? You go up to Arlington on Tuesday and Wednesday. You need to come in the top 3 in order to move on to the state tournament. A lot of good competition up there, right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm just hoping to play my best, keep it up from last week and place as high as I can.
So we will see how she does. That is a single elimination for the first round, and then it becomes double elimination. So in some ways, you could end up playing 2 or 3 matches at a time, which is a little unusual for what you're normally accustomed to doing. I've got to think that the fact that the weather report is calling for some cloudy weather might be to an advantage of the players up there. Is that better than if it were a hot day?
Well, I wouldn't call it an advantage since the weather is the same for both players, right? But I think some people might do better in cooler weather since sometimes the heat really gets to them, and yeah.
So we're certainly not hoping for rain, but we wouldn't mind it being a little bit cooler.
That's okay.
That would work, sure. We do have a picture that we want to put up of you there too, is you playing at Mountlake Terrace. I'm guessing you've also played a lot outside of school. Tell us a little bit about your tennis background. Where else do you play, and what else have you done in terms of tennis?
Well, I've been playing at the same tennis club my whole life. When I was 8 years old, I started going to Forest Crest Athlete Club in Mountlake Terrace, and I've been training with the coaches there up until just now,
And playing in tournaments, I would think,
Yeah,
around the area
that's
too?
right. And I played USTA tournaments where it's just myself, and I've also participated in team tournaments with other players from my club.
And I want to ask you a little bit about your experience at Mountlake Terrace. Obviously, in the past, you've had Nikki and Allison to play with, who we've mentioned already. This year, a little bit different in the sense that the Hawks aren't quite as strong as they've been in years past. The victories have been hard to come by. I know there have been a few times this year where you've won your match and all of the other matches have gone the other way and your teammates have all lost. What has that experience been like for all of you together, and are you still able to kind of enjoy the moment with them, and how have they been as teammates?
Yeah, the team that we have this year, I feel like we have a really great bond. It's not even about winning. We're not like super bummed like every time, because it's really more about doing the best that you can, playing your hardest and improving. They've really got potential.
Sure, so everybody supports everyone there, which is great. And last, we're going to ask you about your college ambitions a little bit. I know you're going to the University of Washington next year to play tennis?
No, I'm just going to be playing recreationally, probably maybe joining the tennis club there.
Okay, and a great tennis club there at that, right?
Yeah.
And tennis obviously is one of those sports where you can pretty much play for the rest of your life. Is this something you continue to
Oh, for sure.
want to continue as you move forward?
Definitely, yeah.
So we will see. So until we get to the point where she's playing recreationally, she's going to keep competing for Mountlake Terrace and hoping to get to state next week. Tina, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wish you all the luck in the world on Tuesday and Wednesday again at Arlington High School. Hoping you get a few victories there, and we can get you down to the state tournament next week.
Yep, thank you very much.
Tennis is such a competitive sport, and at that level, when they're all competing to go to state, I know that Tina's going to work real hard for that.
Yeah, and it'll be a tough road for her. I mean, really, there's 3 spots available to get to state out of districts. We have a feeling that the freshman from Shorewood that we talked about, who's beaten Tina twice already this year, she's undefeated and has been almost untouchable. So really, Tina and a few of the other girls might be battling for just 2 spots. So we wish Tina the best, and should be interesting to see how she does this week.
Okay, and now I want to talk about soccer, because what an exciting week that was.
It was an exciting week, and it all culminated in an exciting Saturday, really. But district tournament's been going on. Again, this is a double elimination tournament. Top 3 teams going. We figured that a couple of our teams had a shot at it, at least getting to state. We didn't know how they would do. Unfortunately for Lynnwood, they were knocked out in the consolation round. So, but a great season for the Royals, so we congratulate them. But really, we have to start off by talking about the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors. Huge day for them on Saturday. Should set the scene here a little bit first. They went up against Glacier Peak in the championship game. Glacier Peak, undefeated in regular season play. The defending district champions, they beat Edmonds-Woodway in the championship game last year. They've got a 14-game winning streak. They've only given up 2 goals since April 1st. The Grizzlies have been on fire lately, and I think we all kind of assumed that maybe this was Glacier Peak's district championship to win. Edmonds-Woodway had other ideas, and they came out on Saturday and played like it. We've got a picture here we're going to put up. This is the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors holding up the district championship trophy after defeating Glacier Peak 2-0 in the championship game over at Shoreline Stadium on Saturday. Goals in the game, we had Lucas Tuckle-Merriam, who scored a goal in the first half. Kyle Ari, who we've got a picture of here. Matter of fact, we've got the picture of Kyle scoring the second goal of the game, just getting it right past the goalkeeper into the back of the net there. Gives them that insurance goal. Edmonds-Woodway, again, they go on to the victory. They win the trophy. What that also means is that they get a home game on Tuesday to start off the state tournament. So the final 16 teams in the state, if you win districts, you get a home game. They're going to be playing Tuesday night, 7 p.m. against Auburn Riverside. Get out there and support these guys. If they win, they move on to the quarterfinals. If they lose, they're done. So we need to give them all the support they can have. And yeah, it was a great week for the Warriors.
Yeah, and go watch that game, because the rest are going to be further away. So
Indeed.
and now Mountlake Terrace, I just was so excited to see what they did, because we had the 2 players in last week, and they just were such underdogs. And tell us more.
You talk about the unexpected. This really was the unexpected. Mountlake Terrace, who again we interviewed their 2 players last week. They needed 2 wins leading up to the playoffs just to get into districts. They were looking as though they were going to be on the verge of being eliminated before the playoffs even started. Barely making into districts as the number 7 seed. A team that had a losing record all season long. A young team that we thought maybe would just kind of start getting some momentum and playing better so that they could do well next year. And then they go out and they lose to Edmonds-Woodway in the first round 3-0. And if you'll recall, we brought their players in. We brought Bobby Stoyanov, and we also brought Gavin Scott in last Sunday, the day after they lost to Edmonds-Woodway. And at that point, they needed to win 3 consecutive games to get to state. Now, mind you, this was a team that only had 5 wins all season leading up to that moment. They go out, they beat Ferndale 2-0. Then they turn around and they beat Shorewood 2-0. A very good Shorewood team, I might add. And then on Saturday, they go into the 3rd place game, loser out, winner to state. playing a Marysville-Pilchuck team that I think was 13-4 on the year. Mountlake Terrace, heavy underdog in this game. And a few of us showed up just to kind of lend our support. We've gotten to know these kids a little bit. We wanted to, congratulate them on a good season, so we thought. And all they do is go out and win. They won 1-0. As a matter of fact, we have a picture here of the winning goal. That's Diego Aquiniga, who is a sophomore. Diego with the header, getting it past the goalkeeper with about 14 minutes to go. And it's enough for the victory. We've got some other pictures here too. There's Sam Pulveroy, who was playing on the defensive side of things. Sam getting a nice slide tackle there. And then last but certainly not least, here's the picture of Mountlake Terrace celebrating their victory. Should we mention that it's only the first time in 22 years that they've made it to the state tournament, so it's a huge deal for the Hawks.
Yeah.
Congratulations to them, and they're quite the accomplishment. They will be playing Tuesday night. We don't know the time and the location yet. We do know that they're playing Mercer Island, so unless there's any kind of a scheduling conflict, I'm assuming that game is going to be at Mercer Island on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. They haven't posted it to the website yet, so stay tuned for more information on that. But more than likely, if folks want to go support the Hawks, they need to drive over to Mercer Island Tuesday night.
Okay, great. And this week's softball playoffs, right?
District playoffs starting on Tuesday, and this is always a fun event. And this is one of my favorite events of the year. All 8 of the teams that make it to districts all go to the same field. It's the Phil Johnson Fields over in Mukilteo. They've got 4 fields that are all kind of adjacent next to each other. And starting at 4 o'clock, all 8 teams playing at the same time on 4 fields. You can almost stand right in the middle behind the backstops of all the fields and watch all 4 games simultaneously if you want. Meadowdale, who is the number 1 seed, and congratulations to them, by the way, for
And no surprise.
and no surprise really. Although they made it interesting at the end of the year.
Yeah, they did.
They're the number 1 seed. They take on Oak Harbor in their first round game. On paper, it looks like Meadowdale is the heavy favorite. This is the same Oak Harbor team, however, who upset them just a few weeks ago in a game that finished 11-2. I don't think Meadowdale's forgotten about that game, so I think we'll see a different Mavericks team for the first round of the playoffs. The winner of that game will take on the winner of the Marysville-Pilchuck Mountlake Terrace game, which will be happening at the same time. So presumably the semifinal game would take place at around 6 o'clock that night. And then on the other side of the bracket, it is Edmonds-Woodway taking on Everett. That's the Everett Seagulls team that finished second in state last year, so they definitely drew a tough matchup in the first round. The winner of that game would play the winner of the Glacier Peak Arlington game. Again, it's double elimination, so everybody playing a second game that night. If you're able to come out of Tuesday night with at least 1 victory and move on to the next round, they would all come back on Thursday and play either for third place or for the championship, depending on where how they fare on Tuesday night. So again, Tuesday and Thursday, all up at Mukilteo, a fun tournament. So we invite folks to come out and watch that.
Yeah, and those are all qualifying for state as well.
Top 3 go to state, yeah.
Right, okay. Well, that means we will have a lot to talk about next week. We will be reporting on who is going to state and who is not. So that should be an interesting week.
Yeah, just a lot of competition this week. It starts on Monday with the district championship game of baseball with Lynnwood and Glacier Peak, and then you've got soccer on Tuesday for the schools we just mentioned. Wednesday and Friday it's track and field. You've got tennis. You've got golf. Everybody trying to either get to the state tournament or trying to advance as far as the teams that are already in the state tournament. It's going to be an exciting week, and we'll have a lot to talk about next week.
Yes, we will. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.